Hola. Okay, yeah.
Let's start this thing. So you're going to Europe, eh? Good luck. Anyhow, so that was the talk. So for those who wonder where this all started for me, it's from this book, which is now in the 5th printing. But this book dates from the 80s, basically. And this guy wrote all the playground, what I call the playground, the Alps, the Pyrenees, Corsica, and wrote a book about it. It's still available. I checked. Amazon still has it, even though the publisher, White Horse Press, has been defunct now for, what, 20 years. And that's what started me. And because the way he described his trips and the way he talked about them and the way he just infused, you got to do this. So if you buy this,
What is it called?
it's called The Alps and Beyond. I'll leave it there so you could. And so some of the hotels and restaurants might be a bit closed by now, but the hotel I go the most in the Dolomite, I only go at one place, was there in the first edition in the 80s, and it's still in this edition. So I'm very fond of Pension Fontana. They've been very helpful to us on this trip. Anyhow, so I've divided this into some areas: packing, documents, technologies, writing, tour, the tour company, how to, and so first of all, packing. Well, you're going with the tour company, so packing is not really a subject because there's a truck and you could throw your big suitcase in there and don't worry about it, because the truck is there. So packing is not the same way as, for instance, Solange and I, we went, we were going on 3-month trips with 2 side cases. That's it, So packing became a different issue. But what clothes to bring? Well, I would recommend easy care clothes. Jeans, definitely not. Anything in cotton, definitely not. You got to bring what they call technical stuff, because you want to be able to wash it, wrinkle it, and hang it so the next morning it's ready to ride. And I do this before. Everything I brought on tour, we had a test here before. I would wash it in the sink, wrinkle it, hang it, and the next morning, if it wasn't dry, that clothes never went on tour. So that's one tip. Because remember, you're going to be on the road for 11, 12 days. There's no time to go to anywhere to get it done. Hotels, forget about it. They charge like €5 just to do a pair of underwears. So you don't have time for that. What to wear on this trip, September? Well, that's the usual. First day, upside. The next day, upside down. The third day, you switch with your spouse. So, but... no, front and back usually doesn't work. So in September, what to wear? It's like a fall ride. Because September, like Jeff and I last September, some mornings were like 12, 15. And then you go up a mountain and it's 5. And then you come back down and it's 25. So layers is your friend. You're going to spend a lot of time adding and subtracting layers. Don't get uncomfortable. If you need to, take it off. Remember, there's a truck, throw it in the truck. Or if you ask for the bags, just throw it in the bag. There's nothing in there anyway. Yeah. The top boxes or the side bags or whatever.
Provide as a top box. If you want more than that,
it's fine. No, it's fine because you don't need more. Again, the top box will be for your electronic camera, stuff like that. Your extra pair of gloves, your layers, little stuff. Anyhow.
Everybody has top boxes or
Huh?
cases, all you get is a top box.
It's a top box.
If you want more,
Yeah.
you can, but
Yeah.
you have to ask David.
Are they charging you more if you want?
I don't know.
You don't remember.
I've never done it, so I don't know.
So remember, every 1,000 meter, you lose 6 degrees.
6.
6. 6. So by the time, and in the Dolomites, for instance, you ride at about 1,500, and then you climb up to 2.5. So if it's 15 here, it's under 10 over there. But you don't think about that anyway. It's not time to try out a new helmet or new boots or new shoes. Never do that. Hiking, biking, whatever. If you want to try a new helmet, buy it tomorrow and wear it every day until the trip to make sure it fits, it's broken in, and you don't get any pressure point. It's not time to agonize over that. It's really not time. Bring gear that you're comfortable with. It's not about the looks, it's about what the gear does for you. So don't do that.
Would you say that the heaters on the handlebars are adequate for summer gloves?
I would say September I used last September. I used my 3 pair. Summer, a bit warmer than summer, and my fall gloves. I never brought or used Avenir for my winter gloves. It's never that cold. And when you're going up a mountain, remember you're not going to be there a lot. You're going to go up, puck around, come back down. So that portion of 5 might not last more than an hour at the most. And you're not thinking about it. Remember heated grips? Yeah. Most bikes will have them. E. Okay, E.
They're all newer models.
Yeah.
This is new, heated grip, so I mean,
No, they buy basic bikes, so I don't know if they have these.
Can we buy a GS without it? I don't know.
yeah,
You remember in Europe, it's a different standard.
yeah.
In Canada, no. All bikes come with heated grips in Canada. But in Europe, I'm not sure about that. Documents.
Excuse me a minute. What I'll do is I'm going to take note of questions like that we'd like to know the answer to, and I will
Ask Anna or David.
share it rather than
that
all of us
17 of us
reaching
don't
out.
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Just so that when we get to the airport, they're there to meet us.
Good. So I would suggest that you make copies of all your documents. This little pouch has my international driver's permit, my passport, in there, a copy of my visa, my driver's permit, the insurance card, everything there. And where do I stash this? In the back. The Klim brand, if you look at your suit, if you're wearing a Klim, look at the back behind there's a pocket there. Klim has fitted a pocket with a zipper even. But even there, just drop it there. You don't need these fancy little pouch. You could do double baggies, but drop it there. And that's always a good point.
When you said Visa, you're talking your credit card?
My credit cards.
So, speaking of visas, we don't need any travel documents other than the license, right? Okay.
You need your Visa card, definitely.
For this
Trust
year,
me,
for this
We're
year,
all using your
MasterCard,
Visa.
Amex, Visa.
Yeah,
coming
I mean-
fully loaded.
One trick I've done, oh, sorry.
as of next year.
Yeah, as of next
There will
year,
be a permit required to go into Europe,
yeah.
but this year, no.
I don't remember the name. I just read it.
Yeah,
I
It's,
heard that story
it's a
too.
10 or 20 euro thing.
yeah, it's for almost everybody in the world.
No, it's starting next year.
It's starting next year.
Recommend you get this.
Oh, that's the international.
No, that's the international driver's permit. That's different.
Some
Yeah, you
countries
need
have
that, but
visas
you
to
don't
get
need any
in.
travel
Yeah.
visas.
I've been riding on my international driver's permit since 2017.
No,
And where's the best place
as
to
of
get
next
that?
year.
CAA.
You need to get it.
I never renewed it. I never bothered. It never was an issue. Make a copy of your Air Canada stuff. Just this page. What's important is this doodle here. Because at the airport, if you lose everything else, you could at least put that in and it will pull out your boarding pass and your ticket for you've lost your suitcase. So at least your boarding pass and you could come back home. So make a copy of this and keep it again in there, in the back, so you don't need. Another little trick I've used for the last few years anyway, is I made a front copy of the front of both my wife and I passport. A lot of hotels will ask you for your passport. Especially, yeah, a lot of hotels will ask you that. It's a requirement in Europe, and I just threw that on the desk. The guy was happy. He made a copy, bzz, bzz, and he was happy. I never took out my passport except at the airport. Don't do this with the custom guys. They don't like it. But to come in a hotel, it's much easier to pull this out of your suit and throw this on the table. And if that gets lost for whatever reason, you didn't lose your passport. So that's a different one. And this one I just keep in the front pocket of my suit. And up there, you need this? Okay. And by the way, my wife's on the back. Oh, neat. So everybody was happy about that. So passport, driver's permit, credit card, insurance, airline ticket, anything that's of value, and that if it's lost, you'll be at loss, in your back. Stash in the back protector. Yeah, who said that? But that was a very good.
You mentioned that before.
Oh, I mentioned it before, that's why. Well, I realized Clem has, like I said, a pocket.
Yeah.
Technology. Same thing as helmet or shoes or whatever. It's not time to try a new gadget. If you just bought the day before you leave a new GoPro, don't bring it. You're going to spend... I remember a group of Venezuelan, 4 couples. They had new comm system that they just had bought before the trip. Guess what? For 15 days, every evening, they would come in the hotel and go, can you hear? Can you hear me? They never figured out, ever. So if you're going to bring GoPros and stuff like that, I'm not saying don't, but make sure you're very familiar with them. And bring memory cards, because those are cheap. And when it's full, just throw it in your bag. And when the memory card is full, just throw it in your bag and don't worry about backups or anything. Just keep filling those memory cards, but don't bring any gadget that you're not familiar with. Phone. I've seen a thread. It was the most popular thread on the 2023 trip. So why do you need a phone? In this case, remember you were the tour. So the main usage for your phone will be tracking. You want to keep a souvenir of your trip. And there are tons of apps. Jeff, you might ask Jeff. Jeff has a great one. And if you take a picture once in a while during the day, the app will pair the picture with the route. So it will show you your route and then pop up a picture, show you your route, pop up a picture. It's a great for posterity thing, you know. So, but again, try it before you leave. But that's why you might need a phone. Like I said in my post, I've been using for years Orange Holiday or Orange Travel. Orange is like the Rogers of France. Everybody complains about it, but everybody goes to Orange anyway. And Orange Travel has a feature which is very convenient for us, is they sell their package through eSIMs. So if you got a phone that's eSIM, which means it has an electronic SIM, as opposed to a physical SIM. The SIM is that little doodah you put in your phone to bring it alive. And it's compatible with their system. So when you go to Orange Travel, there's a button to click, is my phone compatible? Look at the list very carefully. Like I bought a brand new 2022 phone last year to realize the 2020 version was compatible, but not the 2022 version. So we swapped with my wife. I had the, so the convenience is that you buy this before you leave. It gets in your phone and it sleeps there. But the minute you land in Europe, your phone wakes up and go, oh, you're here. And if you land in Germany, it will say, you're here, you're in Germany. Here's what you can do with your phone, blah, 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 blah. So it's a great system, it works well, and the package, the basic package is 15 days. So it's more than enough for our needs. And it gives you tracking, it gives you, buy the more data if you're afraid. It gives you phone calls and stuff, but the chances that you need that are slim. Yes?
So you're not buying the actual SIM?
No, because then you need to go somewhere. And you don't have time to do that. And in Germany, they won't sell you a SIM.
Well, no, you can buy them now and take them over and put them in.
It's not, it doesn't work like
They don't sell you Orange SIMs in Canada.
They sell them on Amazon.
They might.
They do. My friend uses them and takes them.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I like yours better.
Well, if your phone's compatible, the eSIM is better because you don't need to remove your North American SIM. So when I travel, I get to Frankfurt, I go to my setting and close my SIM. So Rogers won't bug me anymore and open the eSIM. I do my trip. On the way back, I do the reverse. I actually delete the eSIM at that point and reopen Rogers. And so you don't need to physically play with things.
Good, I like that.
Because the first years, I would buy an eSIM in person in France, let's say. Orange only sells in person in France. And I'd lose half a day doing that. I'm telling you, Orange is like Rogers. They're not easy to deal with. And anyhow, so eSIMs are the way, but make sure you're on that list.
And it's on the website.
OrangeHoliday.com. Because if you do orange.fr, which is France, you'll end up on the Orange website, but it's not where you want to be. You're not a French citizen. You want to be Orange Travel.
Fiona, can you circulate that website?
Yeah, Orange Holiday.
Yeah, it's video, and I'll put some notes on the website.
There are many brands, like Nomad.
Yeah, oh no, for sure.
But I think the one you recommended, I use Nomad in the States, works well, but.
Remember, you're in Europe now.
You know, you have to check that all the countries,
And remember, in Europe, there's no long distance. The whole of Europe is one big phone call, except you'll have a French number, which plus 33, which is France. But if you need to phone Germany, you need to phone, Germany is 36, I think, if I remember, or 39. Anyway, you need to do plus 39 and then the German phone number, but there's no charge for that. It's just a phone, but that's enough on phone.
you can call back home with that.
You can. I've done it. But calling home, I think it's much easier and cheaper to do it at the hotel with good Wi-Fi or decent Wi-Fi and do either a FaceTime or a Zoom or whatever system you use.
WhatsApp, Snapchat, whatever.
Yeah, WhatsApp or whatever, because no matter what, I had to phone once because the freaking bank and my card and I had issues. So I phoned. I used my phone and I phoned the number in Toronto. It worked very well. But I don't recommend that. With my family, I would do Zoom. We do FaceTime. We're all Apple, so we do FaceTime, and it worked very well. Yes?
The Orange SIM that you're saying, how much is it for the 50 years?
The starter package is 38, 39 euro. It's not cheap. And then you won't need it, but then you could buy either a 15-day or a month recharge for about the same price then. So I would, on last trip, I bought one and then 2 recharge of 1 month plus another 2 weeks to make my 3 months. It was a bit complicated, but anyhow, enough about phone. So, Orange Travel or Orange Holiday. But don't do that now. Let's keep going. Writing, the most important part of all. Writing in Europe, and Richard could confirm that, you got to be aware of your surroundings at all time. You're not cruising in Europe. Don't go there to cruise. You're going there to ride. Riding means being very present, active. There's not a moment in the day that you're able to literally put yourself on cruise control mentally. Riding in Europe needs be aware of your surrounding, because they are. All the other vehicles on the road are very aware of where they are. And for instance, if there's a side road and there's a stop, there's a big white line right at the edge. Guess where the car will stop? At the line. That's pretty spooky the first time, because the car is coming like a bullet, and then at the very last second, poof, it stops at the line, because he has a stop. He knows that, she knows that, and they stop at the line. So just be aware of your surroundings in all direction at all time, especially in the playground. And what I call the playground is the Alps, Dolomites, Pyrenees, all the region that you'll be visiting. That's what I call the playground. There's all sorts of weird things happening in the playground. Not much animal. Well, if you're in Corsica, you got the little black pigs all over the roads, by at least 20 to 30 at the time. Little black pigs, big like that, in the middle of it. Ah, pigs. But not really animals. I would say
Tour bus.
a tour bus is easy to spot. It's there.
There's room, and then all of a sudden there's no room.
There's always room. Remember, all you need is 1 meter, okay?
I know.
And the road is to be used from edge to edge. He'll put his wheel right on the edge, the bus, and you have to put yours right on the edge on this side, and there's plenty of room. Don't ride, anyway, I'll talk about this a bit later. There's a bumper sticker I saw once. It said, "Look at my ass, not hers." And what it meant always look in front of you. Don't be distracted by anything that doesn't need your attention. The car coming out on the road that has a stop, you don't need to look at it. He'll stop. He might stop really close to you because his line is right where you're riding, but don't bother with it. Look in front. Pedestrian crossing. In Europe, they're very, very religious about that. Pedestrians have the right of way the minute they think about crossing the street. So when you see a pedestrian approaching a crosswalk, not jaywalking, but approaching a crosswalk, stop. That pedestrian won't even think and start crossing the street. They don't even look. So be always aware when there's a cross, look for pedestrian. Ladies with carts, babies, that sort of thing. It's really, really, make eye contact with that person. Give it a nod. Like, yeah, okay, I saw you, go. Don't even think about not giving them the right of way. Bicycle, same thing. Bicycle is a vehicle. They have the right to be on the road. And if they create a traffic block of 2 kilometers because these 5 guys want to ride side by side, nobody will honk, nobody will push them, and nobody will do anything about it. They'll pass them when it's safe, but that's it. Bicycle have the right of way. And even you'll see a lot of signs in the playground. You got to give them at least 1.5 meters of clearance between them and you, which is for car means usually going in the other lane. With a motorcycle, sometimes it just means going to the center lane. That's it. But bicycles have the right of way. They're a vehicle. I've seen buses lugged behind 2 guys, and the bus passed when it was capable of. The guys didn't have to move. Nobody honked at them. Nobody even screamed at them. So that's a different mentality than here, trust me. So pedestrian, much different. Bicycle, very different also. So where do you ride? The road. This is one side, this is the other side. Well, I tend to stick on this side because some of the roads are pretty narrow. And a clue about how narrow the road is the center line. When there's no center line painted, that means the road is not legally wide enough to warrant a center line. It means it's a narrow road. They don't need to put a sign up. They don't need to put a warning up. They just don't paint a white line in the middle. And that's a clue. And you get that a lot in villages. Some of the houses were built like 300 years ago, and then the road came. So sometimes there's just enough room for one car, and maybe one car and a bike. But so right on the right, especially in blind corners, because the other guy might be a bus or a logging truck, and these guys are big. But when you meet a bus and you're on the right side, you got your meter, you're good. You don't even blink. You just plow ahead. And the bus driver won't even blink because he says, it's a bike. I drove a car also in the last few weeks because I had to. And it's not the same feeling meeting a bus in the switchback with a car than with a bike. There's much more caution to be had. So no center line means the road has narrowed. So you got to be aware of that. You got to keep your radar open.
So you're saying that the vehicles that are not bikes are going to be to the right, in the state of the right?
No, that's what I'm saying actually, is the vehicles sometimes really, they take the room they need. If the road narrows, a car cannot shrink itself. So technically he's over the line, but there's no line. So he's taking the room it needs, and what's left is way enough for a bike, but probably not enough for another car. So if they meet, they have to negotiate, you know, like you go here, I go there, or one has to stop. One trick in the switchbacks is when you're coming to a switchback and you see a bus or a large vehicle, just stop. Let him do his thing, because if it's a logging truck, he needs the whole thing to get just through. And when that's done, do your thing. So that's what I'm saying, be aware. Always don't just cruise. Throttle. How to manage your throttle. Well, in the playground, definitely always on the throttle. Never coast. Coasting in switchbacks is the worst thing you could do. It's going to make you go wide in every turn you do. You got to have always a little bit of, you got to turn with your rear wheel basically, like you've learned at art school. So you got to keep power on all the time. I'm not saying, you know, I'm just push it through, because especially in a switchback, either coming down or going up, it really makes everything easier. Coasting will just make you go wide. That's all it does. So always have throttle on. Have the engine in play. And the old racer thing, when in doubt, give it gas. It helps tremendously in switchbacks when you feel, oh no, I've been through. The worst thing you could do in a switchback is slow down, or God forbid, stop. Stay apart. Because if somebody messes up in the switchback, don't try to put your foot down in the switchback. Stop and because the road is off camber, it's camber, you'll end up falling also. Not because you hit the guy, because you just lose your balance. So if you could read the plate in front of you, you're too close, okay? That's my rule of thumb. And more space is required in switchbacks than in normal riding. The gear selection. Well, forget about fifth and sixth. They don't exist on your bike anymore. I don't think they rent them, eh? The bikes are not equipped with fifth and sixth gear. And maybe even fourth gear. I spend the whole day sometime 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's all. Remember, motorcycle rev. There's nothing wrong in bringing it to 6, 7, 8,000. Nothing wrong.
And it's not your.
Yeah, especially with somebody else.
Well, even if it's yours. My RT is,
What's that line for?
well, don't go that far because there's no power left after that. But you got to bring it where the power is. I mean, they even make them always told me, I've asked him one day, where should I keep the rev counter? He says, pointing in the direction where you're going. That's an arrow that says, go there. So on a modern bike, it's about 5 to 6 grand.
Yeah.
About 5 in the middle, 5, 6 grand. It's amazing how much more you can do when the bike is in power. So,
If you got a buzzy bike, you can't feel your ass at the end of the day anyhow.
well, or you could feel, or you can't feel your hand.
Smile though.
Yeah, but you do 325 kilometers in a day.
Yeah.
Big day.
Yeah, I know.
And
On a big day.
on a little day, so
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
No.
So, road signs. The clue in Europe is the shape and the color. Every family of triangle is the same a little bit here. It's a warning. It means something is coming. It could be a curve, it could be a yield sign, a real yield, you know, it will say. But the round ones are definitely no. Whatever's inside is what you need to do. So if it says 50 in the middle, it means that's a 50 zone. The blue-red ones are indications. Like for instance, when there's a split in the road, there might be an arrow that points to you that says this is where you should go. Don't go there, go where, follow the blue line. And the red square are more indications. So the real important ones are these ones. And Google will be your friend for this. Don't sweat it too much. I mean, there are signs here that, I mean, a tractor on the road, who cares? But you need, and especially this little guy, the curvy guy. In the mountains, don't expect to see many of those. There's so many curves, they don't bother. No, seriously, they don't bother. But when you see one of those, it's because there's a switchback. It doesn't say switchback, it just says, oh, there's a gentle. No, that means there's a real curve coming. And we didn't announce the 20 other ones, but this one we're telling you because it's really, be careful. So when you're in the mountains, whenever you see signs about curves and stuff, it means it's really out of the 20 other ones that you've done. It's different, there's something about it. So just, stop is the same as us. It's an octagon. I don't see any other, oh, well, that indicate the roundabout. A triangle with 3 arrows chasing each other. But go Google, which brings me to traffic lights. In Europe, you stop where the post is. In North America, the post is on the other side of the street, but by convention, we stop on this side. In Europe, you stop where the light is. You got to remember that. That's very, very important. If there's a lamppost and it's red, that's where you stop. There will be a line on the ground, a solid line. And by the way, yield will be a dotted line on the road and a sign that says yield. But if it's a stop or a light, it's a solid white line and the post is where you stop.
So the light's on our side.
The light is where you stop.
So how do you see the red light?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
There's usually a smaller light
Like in Montreal.
on the post.
Yeah.
Lower, about this big, red, traditionally for bicycles. Now for motorcycle. And if you go to Paris eventually, it's fun to sit at a cafe at a street corner. You see all the bikes will filter front and they're all looking like this. There might be 30 bikes there and they're all like that. And when that thing goes green, it's like Le Mans. They're going like bats. So stop at the post. And I'm saying this because I go to the next topic, which is roundabouts. There might be a pedestrian light right at the exit of a roundabout. Any of the normally 4 exit, as you're negotiating your roundabout and let's say you want to go to exit 1, like the GPS will call this 1, 2, 3, and you're 4, and there's a light there and it's red and you got to stop. You're just taking your, and give it a nice gas and everything, and you got to stop because it's a pedestrian crossing. So that's another thing to be aware in roundabouts. The pedestrian crossing are usually about 10 meters after the roundabout, and there might be a light there.
So there's a light in the roundabout. You're stopping in the.
No, you're not stopping in it. As you exit, you go about 5-10 meter,
Yeah, okay, got it.
and then there's a light.
Yeah, got it.
And if it's red, you gotta stop.
Got it.
There's a really big one in Paris, you have to travel with like 4 lanes,
Yeah.
all right? So you enter, you go around once to figure out where you're bearing.
Yeah.
You want that street, okay, so around, and then you hop over to your lanes, you get there, that's, oh, we gotta stop because there's people crossing.
So if there's 3 cars there, that means the third one,
Will be in the roundabout, yeah.
you might have to stop in the.
You might have to stop there too. Yes, good point. So in the roundabouts, and they're very roundabout happy over there. There's a lot of them. You won't go in France. France is probably the worst. The best. You might be in the middle of a countryside and there's 2 roads, there's a roundabout. And you go, why did they build this here? But that's okay. So in a roundabout, as you're coming to the roundabout, you're aware of your situation. There's a vehicle coming around. Is he signaling with his right blinker? If he is, it means he's going to come out beside you and you're okay to proceed. Because the vehicle behind you will see the same blinker and he'll say, come on, go. If he's not blinking, I would use caution. I would really slow down. Or if he's blinking with the left, it means he's going in front of you and you definitely have to stop then. So be aware of the situation. Being in a group, nobody will respect the group over there. Nobody. You're all individual riders. And for them, you're all individual riders. So don't expect because 3 of you have gone by in the roundabout and the car is coming that he's going to stop in the middle of the roundabout to let the rest 18 go by. No. So always be aware of roundabouts. Roundabouts are great. They make everything more fluid, but at the same time, there's rules. So when you enter, I usually would enter with no blinkers, because usually you're going to 2, right? You're coming from here and you're going straight. That's the most of the roundabout. So I would start blinking with my right blinker as I pass this exit to indicate to the guy coming in that I'm going to be coming out. So it's okay for him to proceed. If I had to go around, let's say I need to go out on number 3, which means I come in here, I go, then I would blink all the way with my left blinker to show this guy that, no, I'm not going out here, I'm going. And then when I get past this guy, I would start blinking with my other blinker, the right one, to indicate to this guy that I'm coming out. So just be courteous, blink a lot, don't worry about it. Self-blinkers, they die eventually.
Maybe we'll just have a day of practice in Kempville.
Or Orleans has tree.
Feel like that.
Tree.
And they're all counterclockwise?
It's always, thank God, now it's all the same as here. You enter, you're the yielder. They have priority. So it's always the same, and they always, yes, except if you're in England, but we're not going, so. Thank God, because I would need another speech. So, but just be aware of that. Don't expect the car to tell you, blink and everything. Some assholes are everywhere. So sometime, but you might guess it by the wheel motion. Oh, his wheels are already starting to turn. He's gonna leave. So, but.
Way is that when somebody enters, they have the right of way?
No. It's the one inside have the right of way.
Has the right of way.
Yeah.
And we're not going to any, Left-hand drive country, sure.
No,
Watch the
no, none of them. So when passing,
Yeah, right.
so you might have to pass once in a while. Look at the front. Look really far. Remember, they drive over there. Look at the rear. Look at the rear again. Shoulder check, everything. And then downshift and pass. Don't pass. Don't be shy. Just boom, pa, toom. I remember being behind a Maserati once in a straight road with a country guy, and when this Maserati passed, if I had blinked, I would have missed it. I never seen something move so fast in my life, even a motorcycle. It was like, wow, and he's gone. That's the way you should pass. Really quickly, dive in quickly, and then resume whatever speed you were.
What's their tolerance for speeding?
Well, I never had to experience it, thank God. They seem more concerned in the playground, depending where, like in Italy, in the Dolomites, they're more concerned about the white line than the speed. But frankly, in the last 2 weeks I spent there, I saw many times gendarmes, which is like our CMP, with their little, oh, that's another, if a policeman with a little lollipop thing with a red dot goes like this to you very politely, not like, ah, stop. It means I want to talk to you. So you would see Guardia with 8, 10 sports bike behind them waiting to be processed. So it was a combination of speed and the white line. They're very frowning about passing on the white line. Everybody does it. I don't know why. I certainly didn't shy of doing it, but never got in trouble.
So they do have a solid and dotted line the same.
Yes, they do have it, but some roads only have solid. And remember, some roads have no line.
Yeah.
But is it like Ontario, a suggestion?
In Italy, it is. But that's more the Italian mentality. In Switzerland, and you'll be in Switzerland when you're in Andermatt, Swiss, it says 80, they don't even do 81. Swiss are very like that. You might, I don't think you're going to do an autobahn.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I've ridden autobahn many times, and you're in the right lane at 140, in the right lane, and you're being passed with these, not sports car. Don't think it's sports car. It's big sedans, BMW 7s, and Audi SEC, whatever, just going 200, 225, and they just go down the road.
Don't be pissed off if they flash their lights at you. Because they do it
That means
miles
get that hell
behind,
out of the way.
kilometers behind you.
Well, if you, my advice on autobahn, if you're going to pass, you really have to be sure, because 200 is really coming at you fast. If you look and you see, oh, he won't be here, and poof, he's there. So, but you're not doing autobahn, so forget that. So pass quickly and be decisive about it. Like, yes, I got a space. I mean, the dotted lines might be only 5 dots. Don't in the playground, don't expect long straightaways. And talking about passing, being passed, who's going to pass you? It will happen often, even if you're a group. And more to the point, because you're a group. Anywhere. In the playground, you could get past anywhere. Switchback, uphill, downhill, 2 bikes to your left, sports bike going, full out. Don't be, that's why you're here. Remember, you're right on the right side. You don't ride here, you definitely don't ride there. So you ride here, and these 2 bikes will go by you, and they'll give you a nod. They'll extend their right foot. They take the right foot off the peg and just extend it. And that's hello, thank you. When you're passing a car that let you go by, give him a little bit of boot. It's a signal that says, thank you. You know. So if a biker does that, it doesn't mean he's tired or anything. It means, or he's not pointing at a skunk on the road. He means, thank you. So group or not, these guys will pass, especially in the playground. Especially if you spot a plate with a D on it, or E on it, D for Deutschland, A for Austrian, or S for Spain. I mean, these guys are crazy. And you're riding a big GS and you say, oh, I'm at the top of my game, and this guy passed you with a 750 GS and he's going twice as fast as you. And he takes, you'll see an unbelievable thing. Bicycles will pass you too, downhill. When I saw a bicycle in my mirror, I moved over. I let him go by. Because these guys are crazy. They pedal on the way down. It's like, you won't believe it. So just give them room to kill themselves, to enjoy themselves, and don't be an hindrance for their progress. A lot of them are team guys. You know, you'll see 3 or 4, all the same T-shirts. They're training for something. So,
Tour de France.
well, that's over now.
Yeah.
And the Giro of Italy is going to be over by then. There's not many races left. So, we're up to the tour itself now. Gas. You pay for your gas, right? So once a day, you'll have to go to the pump. Gas is just under €2 a liter these days, which means about €30 a day for what we normally do. I would rarely pay more than €30 on a fill, because my day were copied on yours, in the sense 250, 275 a day, that's it. So Anna does the potluck thing? No, because I've had the tour where we put all our money with the guide. We gave him €200 each, and then we wouldn't have to bother. He would fill all our tanks and pay, and when he ran out of money, he'd come back to us.
We do normally is he'll put like 4 of us together, and we'll fuel the 4 bikes,
Okay,
and one of us will pay that bill.
and then the next
And then we
time.
rotate.
Yeah, okay.
4, and they, you know, sometimes it's a larger group, but
Yeah.
they put groups together to fill, so because it takes time
It takes a lot of
to
time.
pay the actual bill, so.
Can you pay at the pump? Like,
A lot of time is pay at the
we're in
pump.
Portugal, we couldn't.
In Spain, we're not paying at the pump.
No.
In Spain, you're going into the little, and
But
it's
credit
hard.
card is fine.
Yeah,
But a lot of places are automated now. So there's not even an attendant. So it's paid with, you could either put a bill.
see, I didn't see any of that.
Oh, sorry.
In Spain.
Well,
It was like that.
Italy saw a lot of those. France, you're not going to France. But definitely Germany, especially on Sundays. Sunday, a lot of the crap is closed. But these automated pumps are a godsend, because you don't need an attendant. You just need to know which one to put in your bike. So they have, our bikes usually use 98, but I've seen pumps in the playground with 100. It's only 2 more, but I don't know. My bike felt better. Maybe it's just, you know. But I've seen 100, I've seen 98. I never shied away putting 95. I mean, sometimes that's the only station I found. I put 95 and that's it. The bike ran just a little bit under power, but usually when I found that, I wasn't in the mountains.
We're getting like 91 here, right?
Yeah, but their system's a bit different. So their 95 is equivalent to our normal, and their 98 is equivalent to our super.
We had to run regular gas a few times on our trip.
That's it. No, it's not a big deal to put.
Yeah, no.
And again, Anna and David will tell you it's their bikes. Lunch, you got to pay for lunch.
Yes.
I counted this year between 12 to 18 euro per person, unless you eat something else like a sandwich. then you could get away with €5, €6. But like menu du jour, you know, meal of the day with usually 3 course, an entree, a main, and a dessert.
You nap after lunch?
Lunch is sacred. Lunch is not McDonald's. Lunch is 2 hours minimum for me, and it's a restful moment in the day.
It's like that with the group.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's worse with the group because you're a group. Don't expect McDonald's type service. You've been to Europe, you know that.
Unfortunately, you can't have a cocktail, because it feels like you should be having cocktails.
But at lunch, it's frowned upon by the tour. But don't think that because you're seated down, somebody will show up with a menu.
Yeah, no.
It takes the time it takes, and just give it time. Enjoy the moment. Talk with your fellow thing. If you're tired of talking with them, talk with the guy next door at the other table. Just don't expect to eat a McDonald's type food like.
Everything is laid back there.
Huh?
Everything is laid back.
It's more, and a lot of places are understaffed. I mean, I've seen big restaurants with only 2 servers, and I was told only 1 chef. You know, like, and then you realize why it's because they're understaffed. Like here, every restaurant has we need somebody.
The one thing I just wanted to say.
Yeah, you should.
Eat breakfast,
Yes,
because lunch is not before 1 o'clock.
at least.
That you get there. You're not eating till, could be 2 o'clock, so eat breakfast. If you're not hungry, eat anyway.
No, and that's it. And hotels will have the usual, you know. So yes, and I've seen places like in Spain. Sometime lunch was not till 1:30. The kitchen would not open till 1:30. So you have to, and mind you, dinner was at 9. So it kind of figures, but that's in Spain. So lunch is it's never before 12:30, that's for sure. And dinner, rarely before 7. Rarely. So, and you get used to that rhythm. And thank God you're not in Barcelona where dinner is at 10. But they cheat. At 6 o'clock, they're all piling up at the bars eating tapas, you know. Guess what tapas is? It's food. And they eat. Anyhow. So lunch, 12, 18, menu du jour, that's something to explore. I mean, that's always a good deal but sometimes it might not be something you enjoy. So then you go a la carte, you know.
They all take credit cards, right?
I tend to carry more, I don't like to leave trails. Credit card's a trail in a way. So I paid a lot of stuff cash. Like in a small village, we stop for coffee in the morning. I'm not gonna whip out. Mind you, in a larger city, anything you buy, they have a machine. You want tap? You want tap? Tap is big thing in Europe. Big thing. So if your card doesn't tap, get one that does, because it's really the way they pay. But for small stuff, I pay cash. You know, a coffee with a croissant, €5-6. I give them a 10, and you know, eventually I got enough change that I could give them change. And then, so I carry, even a small, if I had to stop for gas in a small place, I wouldn't pay with the card. I would give him cash. Give him or.
What about tipping?
Tipping is actually not a thing. In France, actually, it's illegal. They can't ask for it. I'm not saying it's not appreciated. I'm just saying you don't need to tip anywhere. I've never left well, no, that's not true. But if I left money, it's because the service was above and beyond.
You don't tip 10%, you just leave €1 or something.
That's it. No, if you feel that, remember, €1 is $1.50. So, but tip is not required. It's in their bill.
It's already included.
It's included. It doesn't show. It's included. But like I said, if you appreciate something, let it know. I mean, if you're on a group dinner that evening and the staff is really nice.
David pays
Oh, you don't need to. Okay, so,
For the meals they look after,
Yes.
yeah,
And the only thing is that they'll figure out who's gonna be in on the wine,
yeah,
and then he'll tell you what you owe him for the wine.
okay.
So,
and how much you need, eh?
well, last time there was only two of us drinking,
Ah.
so, and plus David,
It was easy, eh?
so it was easier.
2 bottles were enough.
Yeah, there's gonna be more, there's gonna be more to do with us this time.
Anyhow,
It depends, you know,
Yeah.
but he'll
So-
tell you, okay, it's, I don't know, €100 for the 6 bottles or 8 bottles we,
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
and.
wine is obviously much more affordable, and a 5 to 10 euro bottle of wine is very acceptable. It equates a $20 a year. If you're going to pay like 20 euro, you're going to get to the next level. Oh, not even yet, not yet. But if you're willing to pay a bit more, then you'll experience some really, really amazing wines. But even house wine sometimes is really good.
Yeah, they're really good now.
And house wines, they come in, well, with the group it doesn't matter, but they come in 25, 50s, or 50 milliliter. Like 50 is good for 2, it gives you about 2 glasses each. And 25 is perfect for me, it gives me 2 glasses.
50 and 500 is what you're saying, and not
Yeah,
25
he's in
milliliters.
centiliters.
25
Yeah.
milliliters, a big tablespoon. Oh,
No, they're
Centiliters.
centiliters.
oh, okay.
Because a bottle is 750, remember?
Yeah.
So, and yes,
What about getting money?
I got my money, I left with a little bit of money, but I get my money from ATMs. I use either my credit card or my bank card, which on another trip didn't seem to work well for me. This time my Visa card bummed on me, so I finished the last month with my bank card and it worked very well. When you go to an ATM, I always try to go to bank's ATM or, you know, not the ones in the touristy area. There's one every 10 meters there. Those I tend to avoid those. But if a bank has an ATM attached to it, that's where I would go. And when I'd go, always try to get a lot of money because the service charge is the same.
Yes.
So if you get 50 euro, you're going to pay the same service charge as if you got 300 euro. So always, but since I use my cash a lot, I usually would take 300 when I took money out because in the end it was the same cost. Well,
Taking it here before you go, where would you get it?
I'd get it. I got it at the bank in my case. I went to the bank and because I needed to pay my storage and stuff, and he takes cash. So
If it's a small branch, they may not have it.
Yeah.
yeah, you got to order it.
Yeah.
In my case, they had to order it because I wanted $500 euro bills. I needed to pay 1,000.
And unfortunately, it was $1.42 or $3 about 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and now it's back up.
It's like 152, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's with the fees.
One-
But it's still below 150
Yeah.
right now, but I don't know what it is with the fees.
What was the? Oh, when you go to the ATM, you start your process and everything. At some point, they will ask you, do you want this money? Do you want the exchange rate in euro or you want us to always decline? Never accept the exchange rate that the machine offers you. Always say, no, give me this, charge me in euro. Because they offer you, oh, we'll charge you in Canadian. Well, their exchange rate is always worse than our banks. So always press the button, I want you to charge me in euro, poof, and then they'll spit out the money. Some machines, some banks I've seen offer you a selection. You want this big bills, a mix, smaller bills, choose whatever you need for the purpose. I've always found this useful. Mind you, a 50 is not a big bill over there. So 10, well, 5, 10, well, 1 and 2 are coins. They're talking about having a 5, but it's not there yet. So 5, 10, 20, 50. Those are the common bills. Mind you, don't use a 50 to pay a €3 coffee. The guy will look at you real funny. But use a 50 to pay a lunch that costs you €18. That's totally acceptable. I mean, nobody will, oh, a big spender, you know, why you, no use to carry bills bigger than that if for everyday purpose. Gas, 50 is perfect because gas will be 30 about, so 50 is perfect.
Hotels usually have an ATM in them?
I wouldn't go to those either. I'd go to the bank. What I did, I used Scotiabank. I did Scotiabank partners in Europe, and it gave me a list of banks in Europe. Like in France, it's BNP Paribas. In Spain, it's actually Deutsche Bank in Spain. In Germany, it's Deutsche Bank. So it will list the banks that they have deals with. Like,
They have them around. No, but I'm bringing cash with me. Yeah, I'm gonna You should have some. Yeah.
you need cash a little bit. So the tour,
This Scotia Bank thing,
Because I'm planning
Yeah.
to drink
get a
wine,
better
so.
rate if you go.
Need more. I better bring 6.
You get a better conversion rate.
I think there's a deal between Scotia and these banks, and they don't charge as much, yes. It's not the exchange rate, it's the service fees. You could go to any machine. They all take your card and give you money, but some... So, lastly, tour. Listen and pay attention to all the briefings. Anna and David will give you a daily, the tours I've done, not with them, but with other company, they give us a morning briefing and an evening briefing. Morning was to tell us what happened during, what are we to expect, and the evening briefing was a little bit to come back on the day, but mainly for the next day. And then the next morning, they would almost repeat what they said in the, pay attention to these briefings. There might be some good pointers there. There might be some hints. There might be something to pick up about. If you get in a situation, let them handle it. A situation meaning you get stopped by a cop or something. Let them handle it. You don't know the rules. You don't speak the language. Cops usually are not much multilingual.
Can you wave your Canadian flag?
Doesn't help much because some of them don't even know what that is. So, I've had somebody look at the Canadian flag on my bike and say, oh, you're Swiss. And I went, where does he pick up Swiss from the...
Said, no, I'm a Red Cross.
I'm a Red Cross something. So if you get in a situation, remember the truck follows, Anna's in front. Anna might not be aware, but David will pick you up and will stop and will deal with the situation.
So everybody's in one big group then?
Ask Richard.
My experience is the truck goes on to the hotel that you're going to.
No, he follows the exact route that you're going to be taking because he's there as a sweeper, basically. So, Richard, what's your experience with groups? How big a group? You said no.
Well, I know that Anna is hiring a guy,
Ah.
a friend of hers, so it will be a minimum of 2 groups.
Because this group is very large for them.
Yeah, she didn't want to do 20, and then she said, also depending on how things are going, they may break it down into groups of 5 and give 2 of us GPS to kind of lead in between them.
And you don't want Jeff, eh? Because you'll lose him. I tried to.
He'll lose you.
Well, he'll lose you or you'll lose it. Yeah, no, Jeff would be a great guide because he's ridden some of those roads.
Can you just answer? Robert?
Yeah, hold on.
Not all the bikes have GPSs in it.
No.
No, and you don't need it really. Huh?
If it's a NAV6 and it's.
No, I've got it just,
It's,
a Garmin.
it has all the maps, the European maps.
Yeah.
It needs the European maps.
Yeah.
If you do all that, you can bring your own,
$150
yeah.
through Garmin, for the Garmin unit.
And that's where your phone comes in handy. Because if you get your phone with the Orange plan, €40, and you use a tracker of some kind, you'll have a GPS. And before I would leave, I did this when I did tours, well, even when I tour on my own, I put in my Google map all the hotels, destination. Because I remember one tour, I got lost at a roundabout. because I was late. My fault. And I ended up having a great ride in the countryside to the hotel because I had the hotel in those days in my own GPS. So just a safety precaution, before you leave, take time to go to Google Maps or whatever system you use and put in all the hotels' points as a reference. So if you do happen to get lost, Anna and David will have a rule about that. Maybe the rule is stay put or whatever, but at least you'll get to your hotel for that evening, safe and sound.
Do they keep the groups together, Richard? Yeah?
Yes.
Whoever's fastest normally is at the front,
Yeah.
and, cause Anna can drive like a bat out of hell, so, you know, she could smoke Jeff.
Yeah.
So, if she wanted, but she will normally wait at wherever
I want to see
the
them.
turn off is, and then, you know, when everybody shows up there, she takes off. Okay.
No, it's, yes.
I wonder, Richard, you know, is it the expectation of Anna that people will have a phone?
No. No, the expectation is not.
Nothing. Like, I've driven both times, no GPS. It's actually a lot more fun because you're not distracted
No,
by the
I'm just
stupid
wondering
thing.
whether they would prefer that you be reachable if you get lost, but you say no, you don't have to have a phone.
I got lost in Italy and I had no problem just following the signs.
Yeah,
And I got to where I need to go, just by
Yeah.
following the signs.
You're in
No.
the country for the most part.
Google Maps.
So there's one road.
well, I use Google Maps in my phone. I have a GPS on my bike, Garmin, a Nav, and that's a different system. But in my phone, I did put all my hotels, all my Airbnbs, everything. So if I was, and sometime it helped because the GPS, my maps are from 2017. So in some cities, the one-ways are not the same anymore. There's a new something. So my map were not 100% reliable. So sometime I took out my phone and gave it to Solange and say, tell me where to go.
You should have phoned me. You should have phoned me.
You can download your maps. You don't need
Yeah,
a SIM card. You can download your map every night on Wi-Fi,
yeah,
and it will tell you where you are, your GPS location and everything.
exactly.
So no data being
No
used?
data.
Yeah.
No, well, that's the trick.
South America, Central America. no
That's the
data.
trick with Google Map. You could download in your device the map for the next day. So as it travels, it uses the satellites,
Yeah.
but there's no cost to that.
Yeah.
And it follows the map that's already in your phone.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't need to get the data. And in the mountains, sometimes there's no cell.
Yeah.
There's no cell.
Features work if you want gas, if you just.
Yeah.
and
It's tricky in the cities.
Yeah.
Cobblestone, little roads, and then all of a sudden they go down this alleyway, and then there's a gate that opens, and that's where the parking lot is for the bikes, and you're like, you know.
I figure I'll follow the taillight in front of me, that's gonna be my
We're all
plan.
sticking.
Many times when I was turning into something, Solange said, are you sure that's a road? I said, yes, I'm not sure. But this is where my GPS says that I should go, and I'm going there, and it was a road. Don't expect roads to be these wide.
Yeah, not the 401.
It's, remember, no white line is, well, sometimes it's wide like this, and it's still a street. So, any questions in general?
I'll just say that we don't have the specific details of the hotels, so I've added that to the list. I'll ask them for the address and communication. Just, whether you do what Michelle is suggesting, but even to leave with your family or that for any emergency.
Yeah, well, that's useful, yeah.
Emergency number.
Yeah,
And I also suggest that you leave your birth certificate or your citizenship card with a loved one here. In case you need a passport, you will, if you get one, they will want to see that, and they can get it from someone here. So it's a great thing to even.
I didn't know that.
Having a copy is not good enough for a new passport.
Birth certificate, you said, or?
Well, if you have a citizenship certificate or birth certificate, whatever it is, you're born here or not, leave it with someone who has access to it, so that they can get it and give it to the passport office here.
that's a good one.
So the trick, don't lose your code, because remember, all your copies are in your.
I was wondering about when you said that, because it means you can't, like I would leave my jacket on the.
I would leave my jacket, I wouldn't, it's like the money. You know, yes, we're talking about exchange rates and everything, but frankly, when I travel, that's out of my mind. I don't spend my whole day converting. My only reference is how much did I pay coffee over there and how much is the coffee over here? And that's my unit. If I paid €4, well, in Paris you could pay €7 for a cup of coffee at a famous cafe or something, and in the country you pay €1.50. So that's your measure. Me, that's expensive. Everything around this will be expensive, and everything around this will be very affordable. Pick something. Me, it was coffee, but don't go, oh, that's $3. You'll go crazy. I mean,
I was also going to suggest there's a website called voyage.gc.ca.
yeah.
You can go in there and register where you're going to be on this trip. Should anything happen in that country, the embassy or the Canadian government will know that you're there and they'll come find you. I'm already letting my colleagues in all the embassies in these countries know that I'm going to be in that area. But
Give them a list of names.
well, I would. Some people don't want that, so I've just, because these are all my old network. But if you go into voyage.gc.ca, you can put in specifics of dates and times of where you're going to be. And then if something happens when we're in, I don't know, in Moldova or whatever, they will know that on this date, this group of people are going to be here. They'll come looking for you.
Same with credit card. In the olden days, which was 2017, 18, those days, Scotiabank wanted to know when you left the country. They stopped this now. But in the olden days, you needed to make there was a web page, you say, yeah, I'll be in France, Germany, you know. So when you use your card over there, they won't block it. But you might want to check with your bank.
I got a question on luggage. So I'm catching a connecting flight Toronto both ways.
Yeah. Poor you.
Well, can a guy get on the plane and not check stuff and still get his helmet, his gear on there?
Look, I always favor a direct flight.
Yeah.
And I chose Frankfurt for storage because, well, Menai, just an hour away, because there was, in the days, a direct flight Ottawa-Frankfurt. In the last few years, I had to go to Montreal to get the same direct flight. But I'll tell you a very short story. One year, we're going to Morocco with IMT bike from Malaga. My wife and I decided, on a bike trip, let's go to Paris for a week before, get rid of jet lag and enjoy Paris. We've been there many, many times, and we've never been there in February. Hey, we get to the Ottawa airport. It was supposed to be Ottawa, Montreal, Montreal, Paris. We get to the airport, two things, snowstorm, and something is wrong with the plane. So at the airport, Ottawa airport, I hear a customer say, there's a desk there selling tickets for London. Hey, London, Paris, there must be like a subway system there, you know. So I run to that counter, book myself on a Ottawa-London flight.
Did you take your wife with you on that, or just yourself?
She waited.
Forgot her.
So then we got on that plane. It was late. Remember, it's snowing in Ottawa. They had to de-ice it twice, and we got to London late. We missed our connecting flight to Paris. But the guy said, yeah, there's one every half hour. So don't worry about it. You're booked on the next one. By the time I got to Paris, guess what? My bags, both our duffel bags, were there. Don't ask me how. They were put on the plane in Ottawa, taken off the plane in Ottawa, put in another plane in Ottawa.
Okay. Yeah, you should have ran out and bought a lottery ticket that day.
You already won the lottery.
I'm just,
Can I get a helmet on?
Yes.
I have no clue.
Yes.
Ask them, because I've never done that.
Yes.
I've always put, all our gear fits in two duffels. Helmet, boots, suits in the middle, our clothing,
Yeah.
and we always put that. The only thing I put on the airplane is this, with a laptop, an iPad, a reader, all the electronics.
Montreal Airport,
And
there
yes,
are
you can,
hundreds
that-
of luggage. Like we landed last night, I couldn't believe the amount, it's luggage, mountains of luggage.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like, nobody knows.
No,
And it took 30,
That's
40 minutes
why
for
I'm
our
carrying
luggage to, and I was a direct flight. So I'm considering, because I'm doing the same as you.
I've never had
I
any
walk with
issue.
all my gear and my helmet and my, roller and my.
Like in Montreal, when you self-check, the machine spits out the ribbon thing. You put it on your luggage, and they have a special area that you put your own bag on the conveyor, and the computer does this thing, read your tag, and the bag goes. I've never had any issue on the way in or out. Maybe I'm lucky, touch wood. Even with that bizarre trip between Ottawa and Paris, where we had to change plane and everything, the bags still got there, both bags.
I'm gonna do my helmet with my gloves in it.
To
my
Spain
sunglasses,
directly
and
was.
person.
There's two things I forgot to talk about.
Hang on just a second.
Oh,
Phil.
go on.
If you haven't already read on the forum, Chris Pavlovich
Yeah.
put a very good post there suggesting to take your wear your regular footwear and clothing and just a motorcycle jacket on the plane, but get a bag that will take your helmet. Make sure it's got 2 straps and bring yourself a little clip of some sort. So when you're in the airport, you put your coat through the bag and clip it together, and buy one that has a shoulder strap on it. So now you're mobile, you've got what you need, you've got your helmet. If anything...
And your gloves in your helmet.
Yeah, and he had this GPS, he tossed that in there. Obviously you've got the space in the bag, in the helmet for a couple of bits and bobs. But that would go, he looks like he's got a big head. I don't know, I mean, I'm not making judgments here. But he said it didn't fit, the bag with the helmet didn't fit in the overheads on the smaller planes. But obviously it depends if you're doing a hoppy kind of bit like you are. Hoppy, that was I just come up with that.
Yeah, oh, that's a good word.
Yeah, thank you. So he had that under the seat in front of him, but basically, and then if you've got a carry-on, you can do as well. But that counts as your sort of hand luggage.
Personal, right?
But that was an excellent post. I thought it covered off pretty much everything.
Look,
I don't think you could have a knapsack and your helmet bag. Like that counts as.
Well, that's 3 items.
That's it, yeah.
We're allowed one.
well, you're allowed to carry on another bag, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'll have a tiny little purse too, but I mean, you just don't want them to take something, right?
It's not friendly.
I have a soft-sided bag.
I've traveled my whole life.
And
I've
it would,
never
it's
had
within
trouble,
the
I've
luggage.
taken multiple bags.
But that's what
It
it
won't be
is.
since you can take 3 items.
No.
look, just,
You can just see it.
Sorry, guys. Just to put horror stories. I remember last year I came in Stéphane's place, and there were 2 guys from Vancouver there renting bikes, and one of them, his gear didn't show up. It showed up the next day though, so they were only delayed by 1 day. But anyhow, 2 things I forgot to talk about. Adapters. Remember, you're bringing electronics over there. You need, that's all you need. All the warts that you carry now for any device will work with 110, 220, 50, 60 hertz. The problem is with the pins. So the pins go in this side and this goes in European walls. So all you need is this guy. And this guy will take North American pins, as you can see, 2 slants. And this guy will work in France, Germany, Italy, Croatia. I haven't been to Slovenia.
Where do you get them?
I got them on Amazon, packets of 5. They're always sold out, but Mountain Co-op has some also, but they're always sold out.
Are you going anywhere in the next couple of months?
But even airports,
I got one, but I forgot.
No, there's no need. Our warts are all, your charger, look at it now, it says 110, 220, 50, 60 hertz. It says on it, on the box.
Sticker, I mean, on the charger will have a sticker.
Any cube that you bring in, all I need is a bunch of those to plug them in the. I even found one in the Airbnb that was an adapter so I could plug the USB plug directly and with Europin. And in the last week, Solange took it out wrong and broke one pin, but I got 3 years out of it, so I'm good. I didn't talk about meds. If you need meds, bring your meds. Bring them in the original bottle, that pharmacy thing with the name of the doctor. Don't say, oh, I'll save space, I'll put them in this. Guess what? Suspicious custom person will go, what is this? In an accent you won't understand. So bring your meds in the pharmacy bottle. That's all. I never had any issue with that. You know what that is?
Gravel?
Imodium.
Ah, the trots.
Go to your pharmacy tomorrow and buy a package of Imodium. You'll get 2 like this. 2, 6. If you're unlucky, you need 1. Because Imodium, it says on the package, you only take that for 48 hours. If you still have issues, then you need to see a doctor. But bring Imodium. You'll need it. Trust me. Because our system... No. Well, the one thing that I've always been trained to do is the first few days, I try not to eat anything raw. So no salad or that sort of food. I try to acclimate my system with cooked stuff. Maybe a piece of bread, that's okay, that's not cooked, but no cold cuts, definitely no salad, and I try to. And then on the 3rd day, I put in the salad, but this has been always, every freaking trip. Mind you, we're out for 3 months, so we're in places sometime that you eat the food that's there.
Just a suggestion to put your medication on you.
Yeah.
Just in case your luggage gets lost.
If you need it for life survival, yeah.
The good news as well is that we're arriving on the Saturday and we don't actually leave motorcycling until the Monday. So if anybody's bag's gone AWOL, there is time to deal with it or that day for it to show up.
But remember, Sunday everything's closed.
Yeah.
So
Sunday will be...
Don't think to go to a pharmacy or anything. I'm saying go now at your pharmacy and buy this, because trying to shop for things in Europe could be tricky at best. There's a language issue. You're landing in Germany. Chances are they might speak some English at the pharmacy, but it's better to have that kind of. If you have a favorite back painkiller, bring it with you. Bring your bottle, the smallest you could buy, and because you don't want to bring the 500 Costco version.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle. I think you've saved our bacon in a lot of ways. I just wanted to give Richard the floor if there's other things you'd like to add.
Yeah.
I use a hockey bag.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pay for the deluxe BMW capable of handling everything for I don't know how many hundreds of dollars. I just bought a hockey bag with wheels. I put a bag inside the bag because David doesn't want us to all show up with these monster bags. What he will ask you to do is leave it at the hotel, because we start at a hotel and we finish at that same hotel. And they normally have a closet, and you just stick it in a closet somewhere. And I store my big bag there, so I have my
carry-on
bag with clothes. All my riding gears are all in the hockey bag. I protect my helmet as best I can with my jacket and my stuff, and I put stuff inside because the helmet is what's going to take a beating if they start throwing that bag. And you have to stick to 22 kilos or less.
23.
23? Well.
23. Air Canada is 23 on both ways.
I'm Lufthansa, and it said that, 22 or 23, so you have to be careful not to go over, and if you do, then that's going in the carry-on, because you got to lighten that puppy up. And in my carry-on, I bring exchange code for Sunday in case nothing shows up. And I have at least a little bit of clothes for Sunday.
I have a tip here. We've been doing this for years. At the bottom of our bags, we put our coming back clothes. So pair of pants, underwear, socks, a shirt, our coming back clothes. So when we come back and store the bike with smelly clothes and at least we're not taking the airplane with these clothes. We have a set of nice, clean clothes at the bottom of our bag that stays there at that hotel, that will stay there. And so when you come back, you have a set of clothes for that last evening. You could use those clothes to go to that last dinner and not stink the whole place up and take your plane the next day. So that's a trick that and that doesn't take much. It's, go on.
I bring 12 t-shirts and 12 pairs of, 12 pairs of socks. They don't take much room and I don't wash nothing.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Right, but you know, it's not.
Look, because of the truck, you don't need to worry about that. You just,
Yeah, but he doesn't want you to bring
I agree.
monster bags. 'cause they
Still,
don't fit.
still.
Yeah, you're just carrying like a normal duffel bag, like a bag you would
My
strap on
duffel
your
bag
back.
is inside my hockey bag
Yeah.
and all my gear.
Yeah.
I check one bag and then I have a little carry-on with a couple
Yeah.
of little things, like a little pack sack that I bring on board.
It
And,
might be better to have your helmet separate though.
hey, if you wanna haul the helmet around, I did it last time, I'm not doing it this time. The helmet's going in the bag.
Are you guys bringing
I use it as a
communicators?
purse, my wallet.
Are you guys bringing comm? That's a question. Anybody?
It's always on the,
All your,
Sorry, say it again?
Comms. Are you gonna have comms?
But I'm flying from Montreal.
My battery
to
reinstallation works out.
Stanza, no
Yeah.
connection.
That's your answer.
Say again?
You'll be able to talk with Fiona. She will have a comm.
I will. Yeah, I'm taking mine too.
the mesh now is much easier, no
Yeah.
figuring out, just push the button, you're good.
Look, I go back to my first thing. If you've never used a comm, don't bring it. But if you're very familiar with your comms, bring them. It's a great benefit. Jeff and I, on September, had a comm system, and I put him in front most of the time because I want to hear Marcy and Jeff go every corner, go, ooh, ee, you know, because.
More Marcy than Jeff,
What,
I'm thinking.
oh no, both of them were like every curve's a postcard in the playground. So I got tired after 3-4 days. I muted them. But I mean, it's useful. It's useful when you get into a town, you know. Where are we parking?
Yeah, no, I know.
Is Anna a loss of her mind?
Bring it if I was the only guy carrying one.
No.
Do you have a set?
Yeah,
I have a set, I'm bringing my set.
that's what I'm bringing.
A lot of the ride leaders are
She
here.
and David normally doesn't connect with her, they don't connect with us.
No, I wouldn't want to either. The last thing I want to hear is what these 20 guys have to say.
And they'll probably talk in Spanish.
They speak English.
I know they speak English, but among themselves, in front of you, it's like kids.
David's English from England.
Yeah, that's true. No, I spoke with Anna and David. Any other questions pertaining to the trip that wasn't touched?
Just to mention that we are booked to go to the BMW Museum
Yes.
on Sunday, 10 o'clock kickoff at the museum, and Hannah and David are arranging our transportation there.
And you with a guide and everything?
Yeah.
Ah,
Just for our group?
that, yeah.
Nice.
I'm not entirely sure whether we have to pay them extra for that or if that was factored into their pricing, so.
It's factored in.
It's part of the trip.
You're out 10 grand
Yeah.
at this point. What's
Yeah.
50
No,
bucks?
I'd rather just mention it now so that nobody goes, oh crap, do I?
No, a museum is, and you'll all tell me about it, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he didn't get to
We'll
go.
send you
at the
pictures,
end of
Chad.
the day.
Everybody getting there on the 9th?
What?
Everybody getting there on the 9th?
Oh, on the 9th. Oh,
Yeah, 9:30.
Yeah, yeah, we're like morning of the night.
Who are staying late?
You,
I know you're staying in.
Yeah, we're staying late,
You're
like,
staying
oh,
also behind.
he's staying late.
Kevin, are you staying next
Sorry?
week?
You're staying late. No, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's getting super early. I'm getting, I think, flying out of Thursday, so I'm landing there on Friday morning.
Because remember, it's Oktoberfest when you come back.
You're kidding, Doc.
No, I was told
Staying
that.
after? Holy shit, that's a great
What are going on?
Munich at Oktoberfest again. Probably never.
So,
I went when I was 12. I said I went when I was 12.
so any other questions before we break up this group?
It's not for me, the question, but apparently there's a few 850s that are gonna be available.
Some of the newer ones, yeah.
Does anybody,
3 of them, I think.
Two.
does everybody know that? If you have
Yeah.
a 750, you wanna go to an 850?
I think the decision
Yeah,
for
we
motorcycles
already,
is
you're
done.
already assigned.
I think you made your bed now.
Yeah.
Cause I asked if I could upgrade to a 1250
Yeah.
at the MOA meeting and it was like, no, we've already ordered the
Really?
bikes.
So what are you riding?
A 750, yeah.
Okay.
A what? A 350, you said?
Yeah.
310?
The 310, eh?
More gravel.
What does that say,
Yeah, the cornering will be easier for you. No, don't fret about the size of the bikes.
No.
All the bikes provided, except the 310 there, are more than enough.
Yeah.
Again, remember, put your rev counter right there, and you'll. I mean, the 750 has as much power as my 1150 GS in 2000.
Yeah.
That's where the technology is. 95 horses, these bikes have 90 horses. You don't need.
You're revving.
Well, I'm definitely a river. And again, I'll stress the passing in the playground. You'll be flabbergasted by where they pass. No, you go, they pass 3 bikes. How did they do that? No, you'll just be, don't try to do it, first of all. Don't follow. Never follow a D, a or a S. Never. They'll lose you after three curves.
Should have been SAD, sad.
Or Anna if she decides.
Huh?
Or Anna.
Anna, well, she's in front anyway, so don't try to pass her.
She's a professional rider.
Yeah.
She raced in the desert. There's not much she can't do with a bike. And it's really impressive to watch. Especially when she's filming in the
Switchbacks.
switchbacks, looking backwards.
Yeah.
And she don't miss the corner, she doesn't even come close to them. I don't know how she does that. But it's-
And don't parting words. When you hit your first switchbacks, don't worry. It's only gonna get better. The first one will be, oh shit. The second one will be, oh, okay, I'm getting the, by the 20th one on the same mountain, you'll start to get a hang of it and realize throttle, leaning. Don't forget these bikes are meant to lean. And so don't worry about the first few ones, even the first few days, I'd say.
I worry about getting like jammed up with traffic, like I wanna go around at a certain speed.
But that's what I'm saying, keep apart then.
Right.
Give yourself room. I've fallen on the very first ride in 17 in a switchback situation. The guy in front of me stopped.
When you're leaning.
And I'm going in and
And the road's like this.
that's it. The road was like this. I was leaning this way and he stopped. Guess what?
You put your foot down, there's nothing.
No, there's nothing there. I tried to put.
Behind Jeff and Marcy.
So Solange and I rolled down the hill and it was like a big production number.
Behind you.
So, lesson learned, don't follow too close.
4 seconds at a 2.
Well, you'll decide. I mean,
Depends who's in front of you. You know
Yeah.
who's not going to stop. And
if it's Ray, give him Whitebird.
You can't coast uphill.
You-
You'll fall,
No,
sure.
no, I said that, never coast. Never coast, even downhill. You gotta keep power on. Anyhow, have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Michelle.
Bravo.